and welcome back to On His Majesty's Brick Service. It's been a while since I've done a video, and today I'm back with the start of what I think will be something quite special. Now, back last year in November, Lego released the Enterprise, as you can see in front. I picked it up day one. I got the shuttlecraft as well, and I was over the moon. This is a theme that I've wanted Lego to do for many, many years, and it's amazing as a Star Trek fan to finally see Lego putting some of the classic sets or the classic ships that I grew up with as a kid, watching every week, finally be created officially in Lego. And I say officially because there's been people creating MOCs for some years on the internet with Star Trek sets or Star Trek ships. And I think it's so exciting that Lego are now taking it on as a theme. So, what does that mean for me, and why have I started the channel back up after all this time? Well, quite simply, I have had a bit of an idea with the creation of the theme within Lego, and looking at some other videos online. I'm feeling very inspired to do another Lego mock, and I can't think of a better theme to do a mock on than Star Trek. So I have got this plan, and today I'm going to be going through that plan with you and talking through my plans moving forward. Now, my favourite Star Trek series has to be Deep Space Nine. I love it for so many reasons, and I could do a whole episode on just why I love that particular series, but that's not what you're here for. You're here to find out what this mock is all about. And as the title of this episode absolutely gives away, I'm planning to build my favourite Star Trek ship, the USS Defiant from Deep Space Nine, and also a small cameo in Star Trek First Contact. But I'm planning to build it out of Lego, and more importantly, at minifigure scale. Now, I've done a bit of research, and we're roughly looking at 1:42 scale for minifig scale, which is going to put the 170-meter long ship at roughly about 4 meters. So quite a big build. It's certainly not going to be a quick build. I know that, and we're going to go through some of the details now. So we'll start off by looking down at the table at some of the source material I've been using for the start of this project. So starting off, I dived into the Star Trek Encyclopedia, a book that I've had for many, many years, and was very much my go-to Star Trek book as a kid. We can see the Defiant here on the cover, and if we open it up to this particular section, we've got this lovely cut away of the Defiant with a lot of the compartments. The shape is there, and of course a lot of the information, not necessarily that we need, but just sort of the background knowledge that it really sums up the Defiant. So this is a good starting point. Of course, this was not the only source I had, and as a kid I collected the official Star Trek fact file series. My parents used to get that on subscription for me, and there's quite a bit of detail, so we're going to move this one off, and we'll bring on what I've got from that series. So within the fact file series, you got all these various files and cards, and these are the ones that I've got so far. I say so far, I've got lots more to sort through because I didn't actually file them all away. But first of all, we've got this lovely sort of sheet on the Defiant, lovely picture with the key crew, and what's probably more important from my perspective for this mock is this sort of schematic diagram. It's got all the profiles that I need to take into consideration when we're looking at the shapes. It does have obviously some locations such as the bridge and bits like that, but that's not probably as important for this image because we'll come on to that in a minute. But in terms of shape, this is really useful. Now moving on, we've also got this key cutaway, which is really useful. And again, some lovely artwork of Defiant, absolutely beautiful ship. But here we have a nice cutaway. Now, we've got some key areas such as the bridge up on deck 1. We've got main engineering, which we know spreads across deck 1 and deck 2. We've got deck 2 here, deck 3 and deck 4 at the bottom here, where we have the shuttle bay. So lots going on, but this doesn't really give us the full picture. There's a lot more to the ship than just what we see in this diagram. And if we move on, we've got some files cards for specific areas. So we've got the main bridge here, which will be very useful when looking to design that. We've got main engineering with, again, another lovely graphic and some good on-screen shots that we can use as reference material. We've got sick bay. Again, should be a small little compartment, relatively speaking. We've got the crew quarters. Again, this is going to be useful when designing these. I think the doors are going to be a bit tricky to do, but we'll see what we can do. This is quite interesting in terms of the turbolift. So when we're looking to put those in, we can really get an idea of which ones are going up and down and where they're also running around the ship. It looks like the majority of them are probably on deck 3, the main one, but with some turbolift shafts to the other decks as well. And then we've got a couple here that I've just pulled out, which are around the shuttle pods or shuttlecraft for Defiant. So I think when we come to building some shuttlecraft to put in the shuttle bay, I think we've got a nice little design here to work off. So that's what we're looking at in terms of some of the source material I've got to start working on the design of the ship. The next step really is to start doing a little bit of prototyping. So the next thing really to work on is to start working on some prototypes, and there's probably nowhere better on the ship to start prototyping than the corridor. And once I've shown you that, we'll talk a little bit about my thoughts for the design of the ship and the project itself, and get some realistic timelines in there as well. So here is the first bit of the USS Defiant that I've started to mock up in Lego, and really this bit of corridor which I've started to build here tells the story of two building sessions that I've undertaken. The first is this end here that you can see. It's mostly built out of masonry brick, and that's because that was the amount of pieces that I had a lot of, and the plan really here was to work out the width of the corridor and the height of the corridor. So what I've got here is an 8 stud wide corridor, which, as you can see with the minifigures, looks about right for the Defiant. I will ping a picture up on screen now so that you can see in comparison with the screenshot. And the other bit there is the height. So I've gone for 6 bricks in height. I was thinking about 7, and that may well change. I need to design and prototype the archways that we see in the image, so that I can decide whether 6 is the right height or whether I need to change to 7 bricks high. I've done a T-shaped junction here in the corridor because I wanted to not only work out the height and the width, but I also wanted to work out the floor design. Now, on the images that I've seen, there's this sort of dark tan colouring down the sides with then a kind of walkway that's outlined by these dark reddish lines, and then the center is made up of what looks to be like a light bluish grey, and that's the colours that I've gone for. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have those all available in tiles, so I've had to use some plates as well, but that's worked quite nicely for having minifigures in here, as you can see now. And obviously the final build will have jumper plates in specific places for minifigures to be placed. Now, having decided I am quite happy with the height and the width of the corridor and the floor design, I then moved on in my second session to start looking at the walls, because in the images, again, another one I'll put up on screen now, it looks like the walls are made up of panels rather than lines of what looks like, bricks essentially. And in terms of building the wall, I need to build something that's structurally sound, that supports the structure, which will be a Technic structure. And so I decided to make the walls out of snot bricks. That's the yellow and green bricks you can see on screen. And then add on to those some tiles. Now, the light bluish grey that goes in the middle, that will be as is there, not the grill pieces. I just ran out of tiles. But what the other tiles that you see, the dark tan tiles there's a 2x2 and a 2x1 above and below that light bluish grey tile. The dark tan tiles will be replaced, and what I want to do is replace them with 3x2 tiles, and they're going to be in dark bluish grey, and I think that will give the walls the correct colouring that we see on screen. Now, moving forward, I do intend to learn how to add lights to my Lego MOCs, because I've never done that before, so that should be really interesting, and that will mean I'll need to look at how I incorporate them. Now, what I've done with the design here is essentially we've got a doorway just behind and to the left of Rolaren there. It's coming into shot. That the walls to the compartment, I've done them as two separate walls with an air gap between them. And the idea is that I'll be able to work out a way of having the door opening, so I can have some doorways there, but it's also a conduit there for running the cabling for the lights down. And as in the Defiant with the Jeffries tubes that are placed around the ship, I will also be incorporating those to allow for power lines to run through there for the lighting, and also to add to the structure, because essentially we're looking at doing a lot of sort of box structures that will then stack on top of each other and help to give some structure. Underneath the deck there, you can see I've got some Technic bricks. They will be part of a larger Technic structure. And again, it's all work in progress at the moment. A lot of development going into this. But I think as a first effort and to get the project underway, I'm really pleased with how it's working. The tiles on the walls do make the corridors a little bit narrower, so they're not quite 8 studs wide. But I think, again, that adds to the sort of cramped nature of the Defiance corridors. So I'm really pleased with how this has started, this project. And moving forward, I'm a realist. I know that, or well, I'm a realist at times, but I know this project's going to take probably years, I suspect, to build. The ship is going to be roughly around 4 meters long, about 2.5 to 3 meters wide, and my estimation so far have been a meter tall in terms of the thickness of the ship, but I don't know if that's correct or not. So I've still got some maths to do on that. In terms of building the MOC, I'm really hoping, I've spoken to my dad, I'm really hoping he's going to join me in this project, and it's going to be a bit of a father-son project, which to me personally is really exciting. It'd be a fantastic opportunity for my dad and I to have some time working on a common project. I'm certainly really excited about that. And hopefully we'll find a time slot once a week to get together and put a few hours into doing some prototyping and some building. In terms of the long-term goal, obviously once this is built, I want to display this at LEGO conventions. So if you know of any that would like to see a 4 meter long Defiant in Lego, then do let me know in the comments. But between now and then, I'd like to take elements that I'm building and working on to conventions to let people see the work in progress and come along for the journey. Obviously, YouTube's a great platform to do that, but I'd like to let people see the physical models as well. So again, let me know if there's conventions in the UK that you think it would be good to get along to. And in terms of updates, this is a passion project, so I'm not going to be attempting to do weekly updates. If I can do them once a fortnight, once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks, then I will try to stick to that. But again, it's about having the time and making good enough progress that it's worth putting a video out. But definitely, you know, the project is a go. It's moving on now, and I'm really excited for where it's going to take us. Now, in terms of the support for this project, we're going to need your support. Absolutely, it's going to be a mammoth project, needing thousands of Lego pieces, and certainly. I don't know if we can actually achieve it without support, but and that support can be anything from viewing the videos, sharing the videos, adding comments, liking the videos, subscribing to the channel. It all helps. I may go down the Patreon route to get additional support, but we will come to that if required. But anyway, I'm going to stop rabbiting on. Hopefully that's a clear introduction to the project. If you've got any questions about it, do drop them again down in the comments, and I will endeavour to answer all of those questions. And until the next episode, which hopefully maybe only a couple of weeks away, do take care, stay safe. And if you can share this video with people that you think would enjoy seeing a Star Trek Lego MOC, then do please share it with them. And until then, take care and stay safe, and we'll see you soon.